Greetings, welcome to AIML campus. Today we are going to talk about loops in Python and also some problems regarding it. So, to start off with, we have some spells such as for loop and while loop. This- So, the first spell, which is for loop, it works by having a range in which it iterates. So, over here we can see the syntax, which is for I in range of 1 to 6, it will gonna run. So to understand, we have an example over here. You can see we can cast a spell from the count of 1 to 5. So we can make it a code by using a for loop from for loop I in range of 1 comma 6. Now 1 comma 6 signifies it starts from 1 and goes till 5. Even though it's written 6, we just increment the value plus 1 till where we want to run the code. So instead of, if we want to run for 5, instead of writing 5, we write it 6. After that, we write the line which we want to execute, which is print spell 1 abracadabra, print spell 2 abracadabra. The I increases because each time the for loop runs, it increases the value of I by 1, as we have written over here, 1 to 6. Now, you might be wondering that does that mean we can only run it till 6? No. In the range, we can signify any kind of number and it will run till that point. There is an important note that if we only write the number instead of 1, it will start from 0. So if we do something like this, we will get spell 0 abracadabra and it will run till 6. So whichever number we put in, it will run one integer less from that. So it will start from 0 to 6. So over here we can see there is like 6 records, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But if we signify where to start from, so for example over here we can say start from 4 and then put a comma over here, and then we can run this code and we get it starts from 4 and 5. Because it won't run till 6, it will only run till 5, thus we get only 4 and 5. But we can also use the for loop for strings too. That's the benefit of Python, that it can also run for loop on strings, on list, on various different things. So over here we have a string known as hello, and in that we have over 5 characters, HELLO. And when we run the for loop, the value of I becomes each character in the string. So if we run a for loop on X, which will be for I in X, then it will gonna print the value of I, which will be H. And after we have put so that the when we print I, it will end with space character instead of slash n, thus giving us HELLO. Now, moving on, we have another type of loop known as while loop. You might be wondering, instead of having a range, I might have a condition like if I have energy, run this program or something. So for that we have a while loop. While loop, while loop does is if the condition is met and it's true, it will gonna run the following commands. Now over here we can see that energy is 5, and when we start the while loop, we check if the energy is greater than 0. We can't run the while loop if the energy is 0. So when the energy is greater than 0, it will run the while loop. When we run the while loop, we decrement the energy by 1, because if we don't do that, while loop will run infinitely. Over here, we first print the value of energy. For now, it's 5, thus giving us the value of 5, and then we decrement it by -1. Thus, it is going for 4. We run it till we are out of energy, and then we print out of energy. As you can see in the output, the energy it decreases continuously till 1, and when the energy hits 0, we prompt we are out of energy. Now you might be wondering, what if we don't increase the value? So if we don't decrease the value, it will gonna run the for loop continuously. As you can see, it is just going on for 5, 5, 5, and 5. Now to stop, we will stop this loop, and to stop it, we can just write something like energy equal minus 1, and thus when we execute it, it will only gonna run for this amount of time. Now there is, you might be wondering, oh, if my loop is running like infinitely, how should I stop it? Because if I don't, it will just take a lot of memory in my device, and it's like a not preferable situation. To do that, we have a spell known as break. Break is used when a certain conditions are met, or if the loop is run way too many times, we can use the break statement to break out of it. So over here we have a list, or we can say a array, which stores items such as wand, potion, scrolls, and crystal. Now we can use the break spell to find a specific item. Over here we will wanna run the for loop on items. A list over here, as you have seen in the string, we will say for item in items. Items is the list of items we have, and then we will check if the item, meaning the I, is equal to scroll. So it will go when it is gonna start iterating, it will go check the first item, which will be wand, and if it's not a scroll, it will go past it. After that, it will gonna check the second item. It's not a scroll, it will go past it. And after that, when we do find the scroll, it will gonna print found the scroll, stopping the search. And then we will gonna use the breaks function to come out of this for loop. Over here, we're gonna print what item we found inside the for loop, thus giving us a output of checking item, wand, checking item, potion, and so on. To showcase you that it works, we can use crystal, and let's see how it works. Then it will gonna run the scroll for loop, wand, potion, scrolls. Oh, we found it. And if we don't find anything, like for example, if we have something like this, then it will gonna search for everything and then come out of the for loop because the for loop ends. We can put a condition over here saying that we didn't find the item or something in a else section. Now, a spell to skip the current iteration of a loop and continue to the next one. You might be wondering, what if I want to skip an item? For example, there's a broken crystal or a broken scroll. We don't want to find those kind of items, do we? Thus, we are gonna do is we will gonna iterate on the items, and if there is broken, then we will gonna skip those items. Such as over here, we are gonna take the items list, which has bond, broken crystal, and broken scroll, which we have already used. Then we have a for loop starting, which is gonna store the value of item in it. If broken in item, if the broken word is in the string of item, then we are gonna do is print skip item as it is broken, and then continue. Using the word continue, we'll gonna skip it, and thus we are gonna go using item. We're gonna only execute for which are items which are not broken. So as you can see, when it is gonna run for bond, it will gonna check if it has the word broken in its string, but there is no broken word in its string. Thus, it will gonna use it, as you can see, using item bond. After that, for the second one, it will gonna check, and it does have the broken syntax, a broken string in its string. Thus, it will say broken in item. In syntax is used, to showcase that if it's inside that variable. Now, because this condition is true, we are gonna skip the item, which is because it is broken, and continue, skipping the for loop for the next item. And we're gonna skip this and we go for portion. And because it matches, because it does not have the broken string in it, thus we are gonna skip uh, this continue part and use it. But if there is broken, as we can see in the scroll, we are going to continue it and not execute the rest of the for loop. Now, we are going to do is we are going to calculate the sum from initial number 0 to 10. Now, to start off with we have a for loop going from 1 to 10. Because we have written 11, it will go for 10. When we start the for loop, we are I in range of, as you know, 1 to 10, and it will gonna sum plus equal I. Instead of 1, we are using I, and the value of I, as I have told you, is the value written over here. Now it will gonna add it, and thus we are getting the value of 55. Let's start off with 1. 1 will gonna add to 0, then 2, 3, 4, and thus at the end we get 5 when we add the 10. Now we have a question known as sum of even numbers. In this, we are going to calculate the sum of first in 1 to 20 even numbers. Now, we are going to run the for loop from 1 to 21. As you know, when we write 21, it will run till 20. Then, if I is divisible by 2 equals 0, meaning if the remainder of the num I divided by 2 is 0, then it will gonna sum of evens will be added. Thus, when we run for 1, 1 divided by 2, which is 0.5, meaning it is not equal to 0, it will gonna continue for the next one, which is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and thus it will gonna run 2 divided by 2 is 1, but the remainder is 0. Thus, it will gonna add it to the sum of even number, which is 0 plus 2. Next, it will gonna run for 3, but 3 is not even. That's why it will not gonna add it to the evens. After that, it will gonna run for 4, but the remainder for 4 is 0. That's why it will gonna add it to the sum of evens, which was 2 plus 4, and so on. And thus we get the value of sum of evens as 110. The next question is find first number divisible by 7. Over here we have a subtask, which is first number should be greater than 50. So we are gonna start with a number will be equal to 51, which is greater than 50. Then we are gonna start a while loop because we don't know till when we were gonna find the divisible by 7. Thus we are gonna use a while loop. If the number, which is over here 51, is divisible by 7, then it will gonna be equal to 0. Since if it is, we are gonna print that number, and if not, we are gonna increase the number, which is over here 51, by 1. And if it is the number which we want, meaning it is divisible by 7, we are gonna break the while loop. As you can see over here, it does work, and the number which is divisible by 7 but it is above 50 is 56. Now we are going to skip the multiples of 3. Over here we have the final task to print all numbers from 1 to 20, but skipping the multiples of 3 using a for loop and continue. So over here we can see that by using continue we can skip that single I value. So over here when we start the for loop from 1 to 20, we are going to check if it is divisible by 3, and if it is, we are going to skip that iteration, meaning we are not going to execute the rest of the code and move on to the next iteration. Thus we are not going to do print I, meaning when we execute it we get something like 1, 2, 3 is divisible, thus we are not going to print it. 4, 5, 6 but 6 is divisible, thus we are gonna skip it. Meaning when we use continue, the rest of the code is skipped and we start the for loop again from the start of that next iteration. That's it for the today's video. See you next time.